Alright, so here's the thing. It's really sad and depressing, because I've really been looking forward to playing Shards. And I've had a lot of fun playing Shards. And, you know, it's weird for me to be saying that I've had a lot of fun playing Shards, because where are all the Shards videos? Well, starting a couple days ago, I, on the 4th, at 10 at night, I made my Shards first impressions. Then the next morning, on the 5th at 8 a.m., I played my first level. Then that night, I came back and I played another at 10 p.m. The next day, I played a level at 7 a.m., and then on the 6th again, I played a level at noon. And then on the 6th again, I played another level at midnight. And then last night, on the 7th, I played another level at 11. Then I went to upload all of those. I was going to get them all scheduled to release like one per day for the next week, basically. And I went and I clicked on the first one, and there's no sound. And it's just not there, which is really sad and depressing. So I basically, there are three things that I can do. One, I could just load an older save from before I played any of these levels. The levels are Relic Renewed, the Ruinous Research Lab, the Expedition North, and the Collection and the Collection's Capstone. So I could load a save from before I played those, just make a level 1 Shards, and just go from there, and just redo the like 10 hours of footage that I have. How much is it? An hour and a half. That right there is like 4 more hours. That's like 7-ish hours. Yeah, it's like 10 hours. That's so depressing. Anyway, so that's one option. I could just replay those levels. Neither of these two levels really impressed me that much, the Relic Renewed or the Expedition North. The Relic Renewed was like really easy, even though I didn't have items on Shards or anything. It was just like really easy. And then Expedition North, Kelp just cheesed really hard with invisibility. But I really liked these other 3 levels, and there were 2 like really cool turns on Shards. So one, I could load an old save and restart with a level in Shards. 2, I could just continue where I am and we'll just skip those 5 levels and just not really worry about it. Shards is only level 3, so it would be kind of like instead of starting at level 1 the way I normally do with new characters, I just started at level 3, and I'm Prosperity 7 anyway, so that, you know, kind of makes sense. I could also go through and make just one video where I go through the 5 levels, and I just add commentary over it, and I just kind of describe the like the cool turns. But I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't really feel like it fits. Like, there was a cool thing with Kelp in the first level that I played, where it's like I have to pick the right attacks to do. So I only had a couple cards left, and I needed to use Lacerating Stabs to attack a boss-like thing before it killed my allies. My allies could help me attack the boss to kill it, but it's a Flaming Blade Spinner. So if my allies hit the Blade Spinner, then they could kill themselves on Retaliate, and if all the allies die, I lose. And so I also had 9 health on Kelp, so I could do 2 attacks into the Blade Spinner and not die to Retaliate. But if I did all 3 of my attacks with Lacerating Stabs, I maybe had a chance to kill the boss. So it's like, do I skip the first attack so I can get an attack for 3 and then an attack for 2, and put the Slippery Sword on the attack for 2 to get an attack for 4? Because if the attack for 4 crits, then just like a -2 from my allies would kill the Blade Spinner. Out of the context of the level, it doesn't really make all that much sense. And I took a long time on making my decisions, because I went through like 4 or 5 different possibilities of exactly how I could target and what I could do to make it work, because then even after killing the Blade Spinner boss, there was still another enemy that I needed to handle. Shards wasn't really very interesting for that level, because I did this first mastery, which is kind of a dumb one, where it kind of just makes you do not much. But then Shards did get to have 2 really cool turns in some other levels. The main thing that it's really done that's been really good has been these reveal the top card of the monster's ability deck. That has been really cool. Anyway, let's just get into Shards itself, which I have enjoyed playing, but now I'm sad. So, Shards the class. You vibrate with the frequencies of everything around you, slowly building up resonance, which can be unleashed for a variety of effects. At the end of each of your turns, you gain 1 resonance token, which is tracked by placing a token on the left. You start each scenario with 1 resonance token and have a maximum of 5 at any time. Tokens can be spent in a variety of ways through your ability cards. You have strong wave actions, which you must spend at least 1 resonance token. Their power is scaled by X, depending on how many tokens you spend. Very simple. It really is very simple. 10 cards, medium health pool, done, right? That's really all we need to know about it. And its class mechanic is not complicated. So we will start with Precious Gems. So far, I've thought that this is a pretty good card. I've used it a couple times. I've also not brought it based off what masteries I was going for. So attack 3, you can pay a token to get a loot 1. So attack 3, loot 1 is really good. This is also just a top loot 1. So like, there's an ability line separating these, so I could, even if there are no monsters, I could just move and then pay a token to loot 1, and you get a token at the end of every turn. So it's like, do you want to just not go up 1 token for 1 singular turn to get a loot 1? That's really not bad. Also, 10 initiative is nice. And then this bottom ability has been really, really, really cool. Move 2, reveal the top card of the monster ability deck of 1 monster within range 2. Now, one thing that I thought was going to be really prohibitive with this is it does no good to reveal a card when monsters got a shuffle, right? Because you see the next card, but it doesn't matter what it's going to be. I guess if it's a monster type you've never fought before, you can reveal a card and then have slightly more knowledge of what their abilities even are. Or if you don't really necessarily remember. But like when you're using the bottom of Precious Gems here, the fact that you get to basically pick any monster within range, normally as long as there are at least 2 different monster types, it's pretty rare that they're both going to be drawing shuffles on the same turn. I got some really good use out of this in the 2 boss levels that I played, because a lot of the time there's a huge difference between a boss doing special 1 and special 2. So that was like really, 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 really nice. Multiple times in a scenario to know, like, okay, I know the boss is going at 79 and doing special 1 next turn, or I know the boss is going at 36 and doing nothing special. So I really like that ability. Nice fast card. Good. Din of Battle. I also like this card. The top I have used. Attack 2, target 2, muddle. That's not really very good. It's also not necessarily something you want to do at 14 speed. But you gain a token if you hit at least 2 enemies. So, not bad. Move in. I think you mostly just use that if you want to get a token. The thing I've really used this card for is the bottom. You and all allies adjacent to you each add +1 to 1 attack this round. And then you can spend any number of resonance tokens to increase the range on it, but this is not a wave ability, so I don't have to spend at least 1. Really, I mean, this is just a 14 speed, increase the damage of 1 of your attacks this round, and like multiple times I was able to get this off and increase 1 of my damages by 1 and increase 1 of Kelp's damages by 1. And then we also have Brittle, and I'm playing with Infuser, which is a class that has Brittles. And so when you're, if you throw this attack into a Brittle target, it's adding 2, and it's at a fast initiative. It's not the absolute greatest, but I've gotten use out of it, and I've enjoyed the ability. Foreboding Tremors. Now, this is a card, I don't think I've actually brought this to a scenario. I think in your default, like, level 1 cards, I think that this is definitely good enough to bring. But the 2 scenarios that I played at level 1, I went for masteries in both of them, and because of that, I didn't bring it, because it doesn't really help with either of the masteries. Always spend all of your wave tokens before you end your turn, which, like, this one costs 2, So if you're always going down to 0, then you start each turn with 1, unless you've done an ability to get just 1, but there aren't very many of those. And once again, this is just a 2-target attack too. But the fact that it immobilizes and pushes away is really nice, and it becomes a 2-target attack 3 if you spend 2 tokens. So I really want to bring this card. I really, really do. The bottom is move 3, muddle all adjacents, which I guess there's a little bit of a muddle theme going here, but we don't really... Well, Shards doesn't really curse, which is what makes muddles, like, better. Maybe the Plumed Helm would be, like, kind of decent on this character, although we tried it on Kelp and it really did not work out. I don't know. I really want to make Foreboding Tremors work. I just haven't brought it to a scenario yet, I don't think. Empowering Pulse. This is another card that I really want to make work, and I did get one really good use out of this. So Empowering Pulse, a loss, attack 5, range 2. So attack 5, range 2 is pretty restrictive. But then it gets you 2 resonance tokens. What I like about this is we're not a class that's like Hatchet, where you're playing Hatchet and turn 1 you're going to play the favorite. It's not a class like Drifter, where turn 1 you're going to play like 2 tickers, and you're just going to be spending charges, and like you don't have to turn 1 play Call to the Abyss like Deathwalker. We have 10 cards and we don't have to play any losses ever. And so with that in mind, I think it's totally fine to just be completely liberal with this and use it basically whenever. You know, if it's just like, you know what, it's the first rest cycle, I got a brittle on a guy, what if I just attack him for 5? And that brittled guy, what if I go fast with Din of Battle, I play this loss to attack him for 5. Not only is it going to be an attack 6 into a brittled target, but it's also going to give me 2 resonance tokens, so then the next turn I can, you know, and then you get 1 for ending your turn. And, you know, you probably went neutral with Sonic Shock from brittling the target. So you're ending with like 3 or 4 resonance tokens, which then means that the next turn you can go for like Devastating Shout to try to pick up the kill, or just Heartening Harmony to heal up or something. I really think that this Empowering Pulse is pretty good. On the bottom, grant an ally within range 2, shield 1, strengthen. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. Granting strengthen to allies always just feels weird because it only lasts for 1 turn instead of 2. And so it just feels so diminished in its value. And granting shield 1 is very rarely going to be the difference, at least on higher difficulty. It's very rarely the difference that's gonna make a huge change. Still, I really do like the loss on this card. And I had one turn where I played this card just for the initiative, but then Ruin Machines were self-destructing on me. And so instead, I popped my major power potion and I just did the lost top attack, and I was able to kill a Ruin Machine before it self-destructed on me. I think I was immobilized, so I couldn't run away. And so it worked out really, really well that I had played this and got the kill. Next we have, this is probably the most important, like the most core card for Shards, Unrelenting Whale. So this is like the loss you have that's like, okay, I want to build up and play this. And it's our first wave action that we see chronologically, or in initiative order. Attack for X, target a 5 hex cone pattern. How much does it cost to enhance this? It would be cheaper for me. Okay, it's super cheap because it is a because it's a loss ability, and it would be cheaper with upgrades to the thing, and I'm pretty sure this doesn't have the non-permanent enhancement set. So that's a really good card to enhance. So that makes it like 20% cheaper. And then we also get like so it's going to be like 30 some gold to add +1 to this, or even an element would be possible, but +1 is probably best. Just get a nice big attack 6 hitting a whole bunch of targets. And then on the bottom, it's a move 4. Not only is it a move 4, but optional spend a resonance token for a push 2 on 1 adjacent enemy. I really like this card. It's been really, really good for me. Forceful Vibrations, another card that I really like. Once again, it's only 2 range, so we've seen multiple melee cards and then multiple ranged cards that are only range 2. Attack 3, range 2. This is also a card that you don't necessarily have to spend the token if you don't want to. And like, keep in mind, you get 1 token every turn. So if you can find ways to like to not spend the token, then you can build up for your waves a little bit easier. All the token gives you on this one is +1 range, a muddle, and a push 2, which sometimes you're going to need those, but if you don't need the range, then there's no point. Muddle is kind of like, you very well may not need a muddle, and so then you're really just deciding, do I want the push 2 on this? Which many times I have, so that works. I also really, really like the bottom of this, which I have also played a couple of times, just because it gives you a lot of momentum. You know, if you're trying to get in position with Unrelenting Whale, and you want to be in position to have a huge wave ability where you hit a ton of things, well, now with Forceful Vibrations, it's a move 5 jump to make sure you're in the right spot, and then gain extra tokens. So it helps you get that wave action from exactly the right spot, with less setup, which I like. And it sets light. Light is a very important element for us, which we haven't really gotten to yet, but we'll get there eventually. Lifting Voice, I've brought a couple times. I thought I was going to like it more than I did. So grant all allies within range 3 move for X, where X is the number of tokens you spent. I basically just brought this in the second scenario because I was going for this mastery, spend 5 tokens, resonance tokens, on each of 5 different wave abilities, and I really did not have much of a use for this. I brought it in another level where you have to like spend movement points to reduce token things, and it helped with that one time, but I don't know. A move top sounds like it should be really good, but like, move top is only useful if like the only thing you need to do is move, you know? So I guess it can help like in between rooms, but the fact that it's spending your tokens, I guess it's a very big price to pay, that not only is your top action just movement, but you're also spending most likely like 2 to 3 of your wave tokens. So you're eating a lot of power. It's actually it's a much more significant price than you would think that you're paying to get that movement. So I don't think that this is a card that comes most of the time, only on like an escape scenario. And then the bottom, Muddle. Once again, we've got a lot of Muddle, but we don't have curses, which are what scale well with Muddle. So, and I guess armor scales well with Muddle. Heartening Harmony. This is a really good card to use for both halves. I really like everything about this card. I feel like I've mostly played it for the top. A wave heal for X+2 at range of X+1. So if you just spend 1, it's a heal 3 range 2. But if you spend 3, it's a heal 5 range 4. Which, you know, it's very reasonable to get a heal 5 or heal 6 out of this Heartening Harmony, which is nice. And it sets light, which is good. On the bottom, move 1, pay 1 token to strengthen self, which I really like that. Because 2 turns of strengthen, what is not to love about that, right? So, quite nice, quite nice. Sonic Shock, this is definitely one of my favorite level 1 cards. I love brittling, just in general. This is definitely a card that it takes a little bit of doing to get the access to the brittle. Unfortunately, we don't have very good wind setters. But attack 2, range 3, pay a token and eat wind to brittle the target. Lifting Voice sets wind, but like, are you really playing your top just to move into position, just to set yourself up to brittle the next turn? So that makes that a little difficult. I have used the bottom of this many times. Move 3, gain a resonance token if you're adjacent to at least 4 empty hexes. Empty is a mean word, because difficult terrain, walls, objectives, obstacles, all that stuff get in your way. But generally speaking, like, if you really, really want to play this and really want to make it work, there have only been like 2 or 3 times where I considered playing it and I looked and it's like, there's no hex within range 3 that has 4 adjacent empty hexes. So if you want to move and get a resonance token, which I did this like between rooms a couple times, I think I did this once to build up a better heal onto an ally between rooms. It definitely has uses. You don't have to go for the brittle top, especially because wind can be slightly difficult. Calamitous Yop, I think this is the worst. Well, no, that's not true. The bottom is really good. I think the top is the worst wave ability that we have. I played it one time going for the mastery for do 5 different waves fully charged. All allies and enemies within range 2 suffer X divided by 2 rounded up damage. So spend 1, 3, or 5 tokens to deal 1, 2, or 3 damage to all allies and enemies in range 2. It's like, why would I want to do that? Why? I'm going to go in and spend all 5 of my tokens to deal like 9 damage to enemies and 3 damage to an ally? Just doesn't make any sense. So I have not really used this card. The bottom does seem really nice. Move 2, pay a token to stun 1 target. I really should bring the card just because of that. And I really, really need to find a way to fit this in because that ability is really good. Move 2, stun something really nice. 65 initiative is bad for it. And if you have light, you can stun 2 targets for just 1 resonance token, which is really cheap and really good. Like, this card feels like it's insane. But I haven't played this bottom ability a single time. So that's probably definitely on me. Now we at least get to a very, very playable wind ability. I considered not bringing this. The thing is, we really, really, really need the wind that it sets. And there's no point in going over 5 wave tokens, right? So, attack for X+1 in range 3. So, attack for up to 6. Attack 6, set wind XP is not a bad turn. So, you know, if you've spent like 2 turns not attacking, maybe you got a bonus token with Sonic Shock Bottom or something. Or if you have set up a brittle on a target, and you can build up to have a nice big devastating shout, I think that damage can be really nice. This is the light card. So I haven't used Calamitous Yop because every time I set light, I always really want to use this illuminative tone. Attack 3, range 2, make it attack 4 with advantage with light. So this has been my default go-to, like, hey, I'm going to try to break, I'm going to try to hit a brittle target. Just because the attack 4 advantage is really, really not bad. This is also kind of nice to play right after Heartening Harmony, because most likely if you play Heartening Harmony, you're going to spend like all of your tokens to get a nice heal, and then it sets light, and then you have Illuminative Tone, which uses the light, and it doesn't require any tokens at all. No tokens on the top or bottom of the card. So you're just you're helping build up for token turns later, which I think is my favorite aspect of the card. So I've really enjoyed this thing. And then Resonant Frequency. Destroy an obstacle within range 3. I played this ability one time, but I didn't really get very much out of it. Destroy an obstacle in range 3. Do attack 2, target all adjacent enemies. Leaf to get +1. I mean, the only way we get Leaf is Calamitous Yop, so it's just really easy to never play that top ability ever. But the bottom is really nice. Gain 2 resonance tokens. So we only have, at level 1 here, we only have 2 bottoms, 2 non-loss bottoms to get resonance tokens. And I think Din of Battle is the only top, non-loss top that gives resonance tokens. Yeah, it is. So move, be adjacent to 4 empty hexes, and you can get 1. But that also means that you're not getting your brittle out, which is a really effective thing for when you have a low-level character paired with high-level characters. Brittling for them is kind of nice. But Resonant Frequency can be okay because it can pair with like Devastating Shout to give you tokens and attack with them. It's just that initiative is really bad. But I think I did something like Sonic Shock with Resonant Frequency before. I played that as a turn. So I went late. I gave myself bonus tokens. I brittled a target and brittled myself. And then went fast with Din of Battle and Devastating Shout the next turn. And that worked quite well. Brittle something, get extra tokens. You get one at the end of your turn anyway, and that means you're basically always starting with one, or you are always starting with one. So like minimum damage if you do this combo is you have 3 tokens, and so you attack for 3 +1 +1, so attack for 5 into a brittled target. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Also, I think that Sonic Shock, if you have the tokens available, can pair really well with Heartening Harmony bottom. And so then maybe like an element helmet would be really good. Sonic Shock with Heartening Harmony bottom, get strengthen, attack 2, brittle something, then the next turn go fast, get your +1 damage, and if you had the element helmet to give yourself light for illuminative tone, then you have a strengthened attack 4 into the brittled target. Oh, although I guess you don't need to do this, do you? Because you would be strengthened. But, so if you're strengthened, then that's when Empowering Pulse is really good. If you strengthened yourself with Heartening Harmony. And then, if you do that, that didn't spend any of your wave tokens, so then you can go for Devastating Shout the next turn. And now you've built up to 5 tokens, and you have attack 5 strengthen into a brittled target, and then the next turn you have attack 6. So, definitely some really cool and good abilities there. The problem is just finding cards to not bring, because this Calamitous Yop bottom I really think is really good. Precious Gems, I really do like all of the aspects of it, especially early. You really need the loot card, so it's kind of tough. Let's look at the level ups, because there's some really cool stuff in here. So at level 2, we have Transparency and Befuddling Bellow. So Transparency, attack 2, range 4, reveal the top card of the monster's ability deck. So range 4 means you can generally pick whichever monster you want to hit. So I think the main priority with this is you're just looking to see what one monster is playing next turn. So you're attacking something that did not draw shuffle this turn. And I think that most of the time you're not even adding the resonance token to it. +1 damage and +1 pierce. +1 pierce is like so insulting. Would this card have been OP if it was +1 damage +3 pierce? That does not feel like it would have been OP. Like, I played a level where I was facing Wind Demons, and Wind Demons have shield, and this is our only pierce card, and I think it was level 6 monsters, so Elite Wind Demons had 3 shield. The normals also had 3 shield. So if I use this and I spend my token to get the pierce, I'm basically attacking for 1 into 3 shield, which is just really disappointing. Revealing monster cards, though, is always really good. It's like really, really good to give yourself perfect planning. So I like that aspect of the card. On the bottom, 13 speed, move 3, set light. And we saw that we had good access, or we had really good light abilities with the advantage on Illuminative Tone, and then potentially the stun on Calamitous Yop. So that's not something to sleep on. Like 13 speed, move 3, get disadvantage on attack, so that's even more like muddle synergy. Or not synergy, but like muddle stacking, basically. Not bad. Befuddling Bellow, this just reminds me of the Deathwalker's level 3 card, where you move and consume all your shadows to give that much shield to your allies, or yourself. Grant all allies within range 2 and self shield of X divided by 2, so 1, 2, or 3 shield. I guess it could be good, especially in a survive for 12 scenarios. You know, play this on like turn 3 and on turn 8 and on turn 12 or something. That could be really good. Just build up waves to reduce damage coming in. This bottom Immobilize is probably pretty good. Range 3, Immobilize all in range 3. That's a pretty gigantic range. But I don't know. I took transparency, obviously. The attack has been very disappointing. I really wish that some of these numbers were a little bit higher. Would it be OP if it were attack 3, range 4, reveal a card? Maybe. Would it be OP if it's +1, +3 pierce? I don't think so. Anyway, what really matters are these level 3 cards, because, oh man, these are just so good. So first of all, a wave ability for each resonance token spent. Bless an adjacent ally or self. So spend 5 wave tokens and perform Bless 5, which is good. I think it's pretty obvious to say, especially given that we're a class that has access to brittle. Not only are we brittling, but we're blessing ourselves for 5, and we've seen base attack 6 with Devastating Shout, and we've seen self strengthen with Heartening Harmony, and we've seen a big AoE loss attack for 5, which is really cheap to enhance to make it attack for 6. So we throw in a ton of blesses, we brittle multiple targets, and I'm playing with Infuser, who also can brittle, and then we brittle bless, and we one-shot an elite Flaming Blade Spinner that has 24 health as a level 2 character, was something that I did, or level 3, because I had all the blesses in my deck. That was really nice. This card is like, it's even better because not only is the blessing really good, but like blessing is obviously an ability that you want to do early in a scenario so you can draw them throughout. Then on the bottom, it's just move to gain a resonance token, which you're not ever going to complain about. You know, your first, I think it's fine for your first wave ability of a scenario. I've almost kind of played it like Coral, you know, you start with a couple wave tokens or resonance tokens. You build up for what your first big wave is going to be, then you go back down, but then you can resonant frequency to get back up nice and fast. You like spend a turn setting up a brittle, and then you dump all of your tokens with the brittle, and you hope to draw a bless with Devastating Shout. So even if you don't need to do the bless part of the wave ability, you still got this move to gain a resonance token, which is nice. The other card here is really not bad. Attack 2, range 3, gain a token is kind of like but a top ability that's very easy to proc that can give us a token, you know, it's kind of like Din of Battle, but significantly, well, it doesn't deal as much damage, but it's ranged, so it's better. You know, if your goal is just, I want to build up tokens as fast as possible, you start your turn with 1, resonant frequency, get yourself up to 3, stealth vibrations, get yourself up to 4, turn-ins, and you're up to 5. And it's like, oh, okay. All of a sudden, we went from spending all of them the previous turn to back up to 5 the next turn. On the bottom, move 2, spend 2 tokens to go invisible. I mean, that's just OP. Like, oh, invisibility is way too strong. 2 of the scenarios that I played were just completely broken by Kelp invisibility. So invisibility is very, very good. So honestly, I think you're totally fine with taking either of these. But I don't think anyone is surprised to hear that I like blesses. Also, it has that light. So you give blesses to yourself, and then you want to attack with Illuminative Tone. You use the light from the advantage from the blesses, and you're spending a turn where you're not spending a token with your top, so you're building up for your next wave ability. Just so good. And now level 4, I am not level 4 yet, so now we are getting to the cards that I've read them before, but I have not played with any of these yet. And when I initially read these, I thought Concentrated Blast for sure. So Concentrated Blast, attack 2, so low damage on the attack, spend 1 token to make it target 2, spend 3 tokens to make it target 2 stun, or I guess just spend 2 to make it single target stun. So it's a low damage attack, and it's going to cost a lot of tokens. That makes me kind of want to not take it. Like, maybe Concentrated Blast works better with Stealth Vibrations, because you have extra tokens from this, and you aren't spending all of your tokens on a wave ability. But also, multi-target stun is very nice. On the bottom, move 3, pay a token to make something suffer 2. think that that's pretty good if you can just move and kill something. And it sets wind, which is nice because it sets us up for sonic shock for the brittle. Getting the wind on here is really hard because you want to brittle a target and then hit them hard with Devastating Shout. But Devastating Shout is the only wind card that I have at level 1. So, like, you want to play it Devastating Shout, Sonic Shock into Devastating Shout. So this would be another good access to wind. On this other side here, we've got a melee attack 4, consume wind to make it range 3. Well, make it range 4 because it's range plus 3, right? Which seems fine, but like I was just saying, wind is hard to come by. So maybe that's not that good. It is just a base attack 4 though, which is not bad. You can also consume light to gain a token. So just like stealth vibrations, a top that can help gain tokens. On the bottom, it's just a plain move 4, consume wind to make it move 5 jump. Move 5 jump is really good. And it gives us a use for leaf. So it becomes basically this forceful vibrations bottom, but this is a loss. Whereas if we just have wind and leaf, we almost get the exact same effect as we do here, non-loss at a very similar initiative. So I'm kind of thinking I want to take Elemental Pulse for the move 4. One other thing in the cards that we haven't really discussed much, this Resonant Frequency, it does 2 damage to yourself and it brittles yourself, which means that we want some self-healing. But the only self-healing we have is Heartening Harmony, which Heartening Harmony to heal yourself has really bad anti-synergy with Resonant Frequency, because why damage yourself 2 to get 2 extra tokens to heal yourself 2, right? It doesn't make any sense to do it in that order for that reasoning. Which means we want healing from another source. So one source that I have found that I tried and seems okay are the boots that when you move 4, you perform a heal oneself. The problem with that is we only have 1 move 4 in our starting cards. 1 non-loss move 4. And it's the Unrelenting Whale, which is good because you want to play it for the move 4 basically always. And so you can do that to heal 1 to get rid of your self-brittles. But I think this Elemental Pulse could be interesting. It can be damage if needed. It can be bonus tokens if needed. I don't think I'm getting Leaf from anywhere, though. Not on this character, but I do have Infuser, which means that there could be Leaf running around. So I don't know. I don't know which of these cards to take at level 4. Obviously, Concentrated Blast is the really appealing one that sounds very, very nice. But maybe this move 4 gain a token on Elemental Pulse is really tempting. Especially if I like enhanced... if I could enhance Leaf onto something somewhere. Like... Illuminative Tone? Can I... Yeah, I could put Leaf on Illuminative Tone. It's very expensive, though. So, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe an ability that already sets wind? Do we... I don't know, because that's just Devastating Shout, and we can't add it to that. So, I don't know. That's a thought process. I still don't know which one of those cards to take, and I probably level after the next level I play. If I continue the characters from there. I'm just getting so tired. It is, oh, whoops. Please. It is... Oh. I'm in the way. It is 12:22. But I want to get this done. Level 5, we've got really cool abilities. Really, really, really cool abilities on both sides. So, I was thinking about this card, Shrieking Chakram. So this is a double wave on top and on bottom, which is kind of cool. This card is Hatchet's Disorienting Barrage. So Hatchet's Disorienting Barrage up top is attack 1, target 3. And then on bottom is a loss where you move and make all adjacent enemies suffer, and then you move and make all adjacent suffer, and then you move. Or You make them suffer, you move. You make them suffer, you move. So this card it's those exact same abilities, a top multi-target AoE, and then a bottom move and make enemies suffer, but it just flips which one is the loss and which one isn't. So up top, attack 4, target X, so target up to 5, range 4, set wind. I mean, that seems pretty good. Honestly, though, most of the time, you're probably going to be able to get just as much out of Unrelenting Wail. Maybe if you're only hitting 3 targets, then you only have to spend three tokens to hit 3 targets with Shrieking Chakram. Whereas to get that much damage, you have to spend 4 with Unrelenting Wail. But still, maybe it's not that good of a loss. But you buff up an attack 4, and you're doing it into brittles and with strengthen, and that's pretty good already. On the bottom, a wave ability. For each wave spent, move 1. One adjacent enemy that has not suffered damage from this action yet this turn suffers 1. Or suffers 2. I can really easily see playing this and just spending 1 token and just being like, I'm going to move 1, kill this guy. Or maybe spending 2. I'm going to move 1, kill this guy, pick up his loot, and then damage this other guy. And then I'll attack with a ranged attack. Or I'll attack with a melee attack with Foreboding Tremors or something, if you have enough tokens. So Shrieking Chakram seems good. I probably want to take Empowering Note, because this is Ember Energy Source, the card, which is kind of interesting. Once for each non-persistent, non-loot ability you perform from one of your ability cards, you may spend a token to increase any one value of a numeral written on that ability, except for experience, by 1. So, slightly better than Ember Energy Source, I think. Anything that has a number written, you can increase by 1, which for a lot of things is not really all that much. You could make your precious gems a loot 2, which is nice. You could also make it just an attack for 4. You can make Empowering Pulse attack for 5, or you can make it attack for 6, or you can make it attack for 5, range 3. The one ability that really stands out to me is later, which we'll get to soon. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess increasing the damage on this bottom loss of Illuminative Tone, which I don't think we even talked about, but move 3, attack 3, target all adjacents. Make that move 3, attack 4. What's interesting about this Empowering Note is that it doesn't work with any of your wave abilities. Because, like, Unrelenting Wail, you get 1 damage for each token that you spend. So you can't spend a token to increase the value by more than 1 because you're already getting 1, right? So, I don't know. Later on, there is one card that combos really well with this. I think the most obvious combos for it would be, like, move and stun 3 targets with Calamitous Yop. I don't know. These once again, these are both really interesting, and also 8 speed is really interesting. But level 6, this is where we have a card that works really well with Empowering Note. Let's do Future Sense first, though. Attack 2, target 2, range 4. So the same as our level 2 card, but 1 extra target. Reveal the top cards of all the ability decks of all targets. And then spend a token to gain an extra target. You probably don't want to do that, because attack 2 isn't really that much damage. But, like, 2 target attack 2, let me see what both of you are playing next turn, as long as you didn't shuffle this turn, is really good. And then the bottom loss is just a loss we've seen already, but it's even more movement and even more tokens. So I like that. But there's no way I'm going to take that, because the other card is way too good. Attack 3, range 3. 2 enemies within range 2 of the target suffer X minus 2, where X is equal to the damage the target suffered from this attack. So, and then Leaf to make it attack 4. So this is a card that we really want Leaf for, because we attack 4, then we can use the Empowering Note. We just spend 1 token, and now it's attack 5 with a token and a Leaf. We can attack a brittled target, since we have access to brittle, so the attack 5 is going to deal 10, and then we can draw a bless, because we have 5 blesses in our deck, and the 10 is going to deal 20 damage. Then 2 enemies within range 2 of the target will each suffer 18. Now, obviously, that's like a best case scenario, but it seems pretty realistic to me that you're going to set up a brittle on a target before you go for unsustainable wave onto them. And then if somehow you have brittles on the other targets, then you deal 20 damage into the guy that you attack, and then you deal 36, because the 18 gets doubled again, into the other guys. I also love the idea of this bottom. Suffer up to 5 damage to gain up to 5 wave tokens. So you could play a wave with your top, you know, maybe like attack for 6 or something with Devastating Shout, and then get all 5 of them back, and then the next turn you're good to go for Unrelenting Wail or something. So, really, really nice. I really, really like everything about that card. Not that I've tried it, but I like it. So, given that I'm probably... Well, I didn't take the invisibility card at level 3. I could go back for it at level 4. That is definitely a possibility. What does it do? And what's the other level 2? Okay, I'm not taking the other level 2 at level 4. But I might take Stealth Vibrations at level 4. That's a very interesting possibility. But for right now, level 7, we've got melee attack 5, consume 2 tokens to go invisible. So very similar to the move and spend 2 tokens to go invisible, but we have an attack 5 on it first, which seems pretty good. 11 speed is also way better than 35 for going invisible. Move 3, grant all adjacent allies and self shield 1, consume light to make it shield 2. Now that is an ability I really like. I like that a lot more than the befuddling bellow to give like potentially up to shield 3. This is shield 2 with just a light on all adjacent allies itself. I like that. Sound therapy, I feel like this is one of the cards that breaks the game the most. Like this is the card that can allow trap to last for like 40 plus turns and make 100,000 damage trap. A wave ability, one ally can recover up to 5 cards from their discard pile. It just seems kind of dumb, doesn't it? On the bottom, heal 4, range 3 is also really good, because like up until this point we've had good heals with Heartening Harmony, but that's using like all of our tokens to have a big wave heal. So the heal on Sound Therapy sounds good. The invisibility on Cloaking Refraction sounds good. The shield on Cloaking Refraction sounds good. And the recover cards sounds OP. So I have no idea what to take at level 7. Level 8, we've got a multi-target brittle with soft spots that has no required setup. But if you do the same setup, you get a bonus target. And then this is maybe a card where you would want to spend the empowering note to increase the range on soft spots. Or if you have empowering note, you could use it just to increase the targets without having to have a wind ahead of time. So multi-target brittle obviously works amazingly with the unsustainable wave of the level 6 card. So that's just really good. On the bottom, move 5. I really like that it's move 5, spend a token for jump, because you definitely do not always need jump. And then push multiple targets. I love moving and pushing. It's really good. I don't feel that this loss ability is very good, but maybe I'm wrong. Immediately after each wave ability, gain a token. I don't know. I mean, I guess it means you end with 2 instead of 1, and it helps you get back there faster, but is spamming any of the wave abilities like that necessary and required? I'm not sure. Move 2, muddle all in range 2, token to make it range 5. It's just move 2 wind. The move 2 wind is the important part. But yeah, I'm definitely taking soft spots for the brittle once I eventually get there. And then the level 9 cards, I'm a little disappointed. So Violent Vibrations, Redguard's best friend, definitely Redguard's best friend. Grant all allies within range 2 and self shield 6, retaliate 6. But it is a loss. So Redguard gets shield 6, retaliate 12, which is a good turn. I mean, shield 6, retaliate 6 is a really good turn for you and all allies. I mean, it's just an entire turn of saying, I mean, whatever surrounds you is taking a ton of damage. And then on the bottom, move to wound all adjacent. I think it's the first card we've had that wounds, which is kind of interesting. It's not even all adjacent, it's all in range 2. And then you can make any element. We've seen a whole bunch of element requirements, but like, it's all of the element stuff is pretty evenly spread between all 3, and it's not like, all of the wind one looks good, so I'm going to go for a wind build, because it's like the wind, like the light has like the bonus stun and the advantage on illuminative tone. The wind has the brittle on sonic shock, and it gives you extra brittle with soft spots. And then the leaf gives you the bonus damage on Unsustainable Wave, the really OP level 6 card. So like, you're gonna want all of them, but it's really hard to build enough of those element cards into the deck. So maybe that move to Wild Element is really good on a level 9 card, but also, why don't, instead of taking that as the level 9 card, although it is a 5-speed card, which is really nice, you could just add Enhance a Wild Element to a level 1 move card. Like maybe the bottom of Unrelenting Whale. Yeah. Oh, this definitely wants an element. And Wild Element sounds really good. Just really expensive at 120 gold. But man, putting Wild Element on that looks nice. That is looking nice. And then the other level 9, Barbaric Yop. Maybe I just dislike it because, I mean, this is basically just a level 1 card. All allies and enemies within range 2 suffer X. And it's a wave, so you can go up to 5 damage. And then you can eat any elements to increase the range to up to 4. But I don't know. Make all the enemies in range 4 suffer 5. Yeah, suffer 5 is pretty good. It just seems a little bit low. For a level 9 card. Move 3, spend 1 to make it move 5. You and all adjacents add advantage to all your attacks this round. So that's really good. I don't know. A little disappointed. I'd probably take Violent Vibrations, but maybe the damage on Barbaric Yop is better than I'm giving it credit for. I'm super tired. I did take a Benadryl before I sat down here, so I'm falling asleep. Masteries always have exactly 0 wave tokens at the end of each of your turns before you get the +1. I don't like that. It's just really poor because you get 1 every turn, so you have to spend 1 every turn. So you have to short rest, and then you don't ever get to do any cool wave abilities. You can do a wave ability on the same turn you do Resonant Frequency, but then it's just a 3 wave, and it's like, ugh. This other one is way better. Spend 5 tokens on each of 5 different wave abilities. That one's kind of fun, although you don't really need 5 different wave abilities in any one scenario. This is a thing that I really like. So we can thin out the deck a lot. We get to remove 4 zeros immediately, and then replace 2 -1s with 2 zeros, reveal their top card. So just with 3 perks, you're already down to 16 cards. You still have the 6 zeros, but 4 of them, you get to see the monster's next card, which is very potentially invaluable knowledge. Replace a -2 with a -1 stun. We did have a multi-target attack that stunned if we take that Concentrated Blast, which means that anytime you play this, you're guaranteed to draw your -1 stun. Replace 2 zeros with 2 brittles, which is crazy. So I drew one of these. I don't remember exactly what the situation was. I think I was attacking a 16 health enemy, and it was brittled from me doing Sonic Shock on it, and then I used Devastating Shout the next turn with a couple wave tokens, and I got like 5 damage onto it, I think. And I drew a 0 brittle, and that brittle meant that Kelp was able to kill it with the first hit of Dire Frenzy and then just move on and hit a different target, when I was planning to have to use all 3 Dire Frenzy hits. Instead, I got this 0 brittle, and I replaced my brittle with a brittle, and it was amazing. Replace 2 +1 cards with 2 +2 wind or light cards, but there's no leaf on that, which is really sad, because I would love to have the leaf for that really cool level 6 card. But still, I mean, wind and light were very good for us. So you don't mind getting extra of those. This is just a crazy perk. Add a rolling heal 2 bless any ally is really good. And then add 3 +1 tokens. So I don't really know exactly what the order to take these in is, but I took these first and then I went for the 0 brittles. And then I also started with, at the start of each scenario, you gain brittles, so start every scenario brittled, but you start with 3 tokens instead of just 1, which is really nice. I think that this perk is really, really potentially interesting. Whenever a new room is revealed, you may reveal the top card of both the monster attack modifier deck and all allies attack modifier decks. Normally it's ability cards that we're looking at, but with this you get to see your attack modifier deck. But it's only whenever you open a new door, so a lot of scenarios this will just literally never proc. Also a double perk, whenever you short rest, I generally don't take these because I don't short rest very much. Consume wind to strengthen someone in range 3, consume light to bless someone in range 3. If you have both, it's okay, but I would still always rather long rest than short. So the items I've been doing, a major power potion, a healing potion to get rid of some of those brittles. I grabbed the boots to get a heal when I move 4 more hexes to remove the brittles. I took the circlet of eyes, I think it is. Well, I don't know what the item number is. Or it's a random item, isn't it? It is this random item. During your ranged attack, add a +1 target. So I used this a couple times on Empowering Pulse to make it 2 target attack 5 with power potions, so 2 target attack 7. I used it once on Sonic Shock just to get 2 brittles. And I think I used it once on Devastating Shout to get 2 attack 6s. So not a bad item for us. I'm not convinced that it's the best in slot for a helmet, but I do like everything it provides for me. And then I took a Cloak of Pockets, and I haven't used it yet, but I grabbed this Volatile Bomb after I finished the last scenario because I had exactly 50 gold. So I'm really excited for that, for Devastating Shout or Sonic Shock, to turn those into 3 target attacks instead of just 1. Sounds really good. Anyway, I'm going to bed. I'll upload this. Let me know what I should do. Should I start over at level 1? Should I continue where I am? If I do continue where I am, should I make like a recap video of the 5 levels that I missed, or should we just move on?